Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charles from the channel Books on Stereo, and today I'm here to give you guys my interview with the one, the only BL Mute. But I do have to admit, in most of the video, I was mostly just fanboying over how much I love this author's books. So let me give you a really quick high-level rundown of all the books that are currently published by BL Mute. So now we're going to start with her very first, or technically it's not her first, but it's like the first published work that you can still get from BL Mute, and that is the Hail trilogy, and this is a dark mafia romance. And then from there you have the Dirty Money Duet, which are two companion novels, but they do take place within the same timeline, so if you do read book 2, you will be spoiled for what happens in book 1. And then you have the Saccone Brothers series, and there currently is about 2, maybe 3 books if you include the novellas in that number, in that series. The prequel novella is the FF, and then the first 2 books, the first 2 full-length books in that series are both MF, and then I believe there is a prequel novella for the father of the Saccone of the Saccone family, I should say. And then from there, you have Double Dare, which is a novella. It is also a dark mafia romance as well. Very high heat and does contain some trigger warnings, so definitely check your trigger warnings before going to that novella. And then if you want just like a really sweet rom-com with some heat, I would check out the One Night, I forget the name of the first book, but it's like the One Night Stand. I think that's the title of the first book. And that is a one-night stand novella that could potentially lead into more stories. So hopefully that was a good crash course on all the books by BL Mute. I absolutely adore this author. I talk to this author regularly on Instagram. I always am so excited to see what she comes out with next, because her books seriously just continue to get better and better. And I hope you guys enjoy this interview. I really enjoy talking to BL on my channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys pick up her books. And without further ado, let's kick it back to past Charles, and let's go ahead and get into the interview. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charles from the channel Books on Stereo, and I'm here bringing you today an interview with one of my favorite authors in the past year. I have fallen in love with her books. I have the one, the only BL Mute. How are you doing today?
Hi, I am good.
And so the first question I wanted to ask you is, what kind of made you decide to become a romance author? Were you always interested in romance, or was it something you kind of discovered later on?
So in high school, I was an avid reader. But when I got out, I just stopped. Life got busy. I started working, and then I was having kids and all these other things. But I actually got a job that allowed me a lot of downtime while I was working. And so one of the things I would do was read. And that's when I discovered Kindle Unlimited. My husband actually bought me the subscription because he was like, this seems pretty cool. Let's do this and, see how you like it. And I was like, cool. Yeah. Sounds great. Well, then I found so many different indie authors because I had no idea before. I was super oblivious. And so I started reading and reading and reading. And then I started joining groups and just seeing all these people, like me, writing and releasing books. And I was like, that would be so cool. And so I told my husband, I was like, I could do this. I want to write a book. And he was like, you should do it. And so I did. And it was crazy and nerve-wracking, but probably the best decision I've ever made.
So I'm curious, since you have so many twists and turns in your romances, especially for the Hail trilogy and the Dirty Money Duet, how much of it did you plot before going in? Do you just have a minimal idea of this is the trope that you want to do, or characters that you want to involve before writing it?
So with the Hail Mafia, those 3 books, I did not plot them at all. I had a general idea of how I wanted things to go, but I had no plot. I was inspired by a video on TikTok, of all places, and I knew I wanted these twins, but when I tried to write just them, it wasn't clicking, and so I brought in Teddy, and he kind of just presented himself as the boss. So I was like, okay, this works. This is fine. No plan whatsoever. I just kind of rolled with it. My husband actually helped me towards the end because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to end this. I don't know where to go from here, So he would sit and talk with me, and he's like, okay, well, since this, and this has happened, you need to close this, and this up. And I'm like, okay. And it would kind of give me those ideas I needed in order to complete it. Hush Money, that one was completely plotted front to back because I was so scared of getting stuck like I did with the Hales. I didn't want to do that again. So my husband sat down with me and plotted it, and he did the same with Blood Money, the second book. He is amazing. Like, oh, so many of my ideas, like I can tell him one thing and he's like, but what if you did this? Like, what about this? And I'm like, that's good. I'm gonna write that. So yeah. But normally, I mean, before that, even my first 2 books, no plot whatsoever. I was a complete pantser, but now I swear by it. But I only do just enough to give me an idea of how to get from point A to B, with a lot of wiggle room, because characters are they have their own minds and things like that. So I give myself room to be able to add or move things around if I wanted to, and things like that.
Kind of inspired you to start writing a little bit more novellas? Because after you had the Hale trilogy, Blood Money duet, then we started to go get the Sick Home preview novella, and now we have Double Dare, and now we have One Night Only.
So with Double Dare, that one, it was an idea that kind of just came to me, and I was invited to do a newsletter builder, and I needed a story for it. So I was like, I'm going to write that story. So it was perfect. With One Night Only, I actually had a doc on my computer that I started years ago. And it was actually supposed to be about this woman who worked in the adult store. And she kind of decides, like, she's done living in this small town and things like that. So she decides to skip town. Like, she wants to leave, get away, whatever. And she picks up a hitchhiker. So, and that hitchhiker just happens to be a serial killer, and, go through all that. That is how One Night Only was originally supposed to be. That was the original idea. But
the fact that you got from like serial killer to like cute, fluffy, like one
yes, only because
it's so funny.
Only because I write so much dark stuff all the time. Sometimes it's like super overwhelming emotionally. So it's like, I need something that's just fluffy, like something super sweet to get out of that mindset, to like I tell readers, this is like a palate cleanser in between bigger books, because it's so quick and it's sweet and it has the spice, like all this stuff most people want in their books when they pick up a romance novel. It's there, but it's very to the point.
It's to the point.
So, and then me as a writer, I wanted that too. Like, I didn't want to give that up, but I still wanted to write. I just wanted it to be lighter. So when I saw that, I had seen other people do like stories about serial killers and stuff. So I was like, it's not something that was just really talking to me anymore. I didn't want to do it, but I was like, I don't want to, erase this whole doc. I've already started and I have all these ideas in and stuff. So I was like, I wonder, what if I just release it as like a quick little short, sort of a passion project for me in between all this dark stuff I'm writing, to like cleanse my palette, and whatnot. And I did not have high hopes or any sort of expectations with it, because I knew it was short. I knew it was completely different than what my readers expect from me, but it did so well. Like, I am still blown away by the amount of people who have read it and who have reached out to me with so many messages, like they felt seen and whatnot, because it's a plus size woman. And I'm just like, what? This is amazing. Like, thank you. Yeah. It's crazy. Amazing.
I want to ask too, any plans for audiobooks down the road? Anything on the horizon?
So I've been approached before about the Hales. A production company reached out to me and they were really, really interested, but it came at a terrible time. My husband had just had his accident at work. I was in a complete fog. I can't even remember like what happened at that point. So I've been approached. It's something that definitely interests me and I 100% want to do. I I think I need a few more books out first. So hopefully my income can raise just a little bit more. So it'll take some of that burden away switching to audio. But in the future, for sure, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just waiting for the right time, I guess.
And like the way you're switching up different genres within romance, especially in terms of like sexuality and sexual pairings. Like
Mm.
you have an MMF in the Secone Brothers, you have an FF, you may have an MM. Like who knows like what other combinations you and Sade will come up with. But why is that so important to you to include like so many diverse elements in all your different books? Because you have a plus size heroine as
So,
well, which you don't see a ton in romance.
so for me, I I think it's important that everyone is able to see themselves, in a book. Like 100%, no matter who you are, what you look like, how you identify or your sexuality. I think it's very important that whatever it may be, like those people have something too. And me myself, I'm pansexual.
Mm-hmm.
I love people. I like
Mm-hmm.
people just because, like
Mm-hmm.
there's no like rhyme or reason as to why. I'm attracted to what I'm attracted to and things like that. So, I'm kind of in those brackets of like the LGBTQ, plus and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's super important to me. And as far as other being diverse in other areas, like race and ethnicity and things like that. Like I said, my co-author is a Black woman, and she is someone I love, and she inspires me so much. She is such a strong woman. Like that is my girl. I love
I love
her
her.
so
She's amazing.
much. So I want to make sure everyone feels seen, everyone feels heard, and if I can do that, even with just a short story or whatever it may be, like I feel I'm doing something great and it makes me happy. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I guess the extension of that question is you have so many tropes and different subgenres within romance that you're tackling. Is there anything else that you don't have like a plan for right now, like in terms of like subgenre or trope that you definitely want to tackle in the future? And what would it be?
Oh man. I don't think so. Like I'm
Okay.
pretty open to everything. I see normally I would say maybe rom-com, but I did that now and it was really fun. So I'm not even
Yeah,
going
that's
to
true.
say that cuz I'll probably do it again. Um I don't yeah, no. I'm pretty open to everything. Um Fantasy, paranormal, that is my one true love. Like if you it, I will always pick up a fantasy or paranormal romance story. Like they are my
Hmm.
absolute favorite to read. But I will not write one. Only because I don't feel I'm a strong enough writer just yet. Like I feel
Mm.
so much world building and things like that go into it to make them good. And I just don't feel I
Mhm.
could do that. Um so yeah, that's it. Paranormal or fantasy.
And too, I was curious too, how do you kind of decide when you sit down and write a book, do you have to have the characters in mind or a general idea of what you want the plot to be? Because it seems like with a lot of your characters, their pairings are really kind of like you never quite know until you get to the book and you're like, oh, I didn't expect this one to be like an MMF or FF for this character. So how do you kind of like, do you know a ton about, do you have to know the characters before you write the book or do you just have to
Uh
know the plot?
so it definitely depends, I think. Sometimes the characters come first. Um Sometimes they 100% come first, but sometimes it's the plot. Like with the Hales, it was the characters 100%. Like I said, I was inspired by a TikTok. I saw a TikTok. There are twins on TikTok. They are fine. They're all tatted up. Anyway, I saw them and I was like, Julius and
You
Lucas.
need a book.
Like, I need to write that. I need to write that. So they came first and like I got it in my head. Like one is super cocky and just like he doesn't care. He's very full of himself. And the other one doesn't talk. He's very kept to himself. He doesn't say anything. And why? I don't know. That's just how they presented themselves. And the plot came later on. With the Sacones, the plot came first. That was really fun how that happened. With Read to Me, that very first book, most people read it, and it reads as a standalone.
Mm-hmm.
There's not like any, I guess, like kind of drama from the family in it and things like that. And it's because it was supposed to be a standalone, just one book, you know. But that idea came. I used to work at a bookstore. I was
And that's
working
how you got the plot? Okay, now you say that.
I was working at a bookstore. I was working the night shift, and this guy had come in, and you know, I had been trained, if you make eye contact for more than like 2 seconds with someone, you need to ask them, can I help you? You know, do you need help finding something? Well, this guy came in, tall, dark, handsome, all of the things, right? And we make that eye contact, and I'm like, I have to ask him. So I was like, hi, you know, can I help you find something?
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and then he kind of just looks around, and then he looks back at me, and he goes, like, when I tell you the confidence this man had, it was ridiculous. He just looks at me and he goes, yeah, your number. And I was like, whew. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm married, but I can help you find a book, you know? And he's like, you know, no, it's fine, whatever. Well, Sade is my real life best friend. Like, we connected over books and things like that, but she is 100% my real life bestie. So when I went on my lunch break, I called her and I was like, girl, you will not believe what happened. You will not believe what happened. This man came in, he was fine, and he said this. And she was like, girl, you better make that a book. You got to write that. And I was like, I don't know, you know, maybe. She's like, no, no, no. You have to. And you have to make it real nasty. Like, they need to do it against the bookshelves. And, you know, she's throwing out all these ideas. And then she said, if you don't write it, I will. And I was like, but what if we wrote it together? And she's like, let's do it. Well, at that point, I thought it was a joke. You know, I didn't feel either of us were really serious, but then we were presented with an opportunity to do an anthology. And she's like, what if we wrote our bookstore book? You know, like, what if we did that? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. And it was supposed to be super sweet and things like that. But then me being me, I was like, what if he's in the mafia? You know? And so that happened. And then from there, we're like, oh, but he has a brother. No, he has 6 brothers and a sister, and his dad is terrible, and like all these different things. So that's how that came about. So the plot was first for that one. And then the characters came. So it kind of just depends. Like, I want to say it's 50-50 with Reed and Juliet. Plot was there first, just because I already had it, you know. I just switched it to where it wasn't dark and it was cute and whatever. With the other shorts I'm working on, the characters have come first, 100%. It's like, I don't know if it's because they're super heavy on my mind, like, you know, writing all these different tropes in these little short stories or what, but I'll just be sitting, doing nothing, trying to work on something else. And then I like have a scene in my head and I see these people in like this scene, like a movie. And I'm like, okay, I see you. I see you. Let me write this down real quick. So yeah, 50-50. It's 50-50.
And in terms of, I know we talked about there's going to be more books in the One Night series. You have more books in the Saccone Brothers series coming out. Are there any other upcoming releases that are coming from you that are not a part of those two worlds?
Yes. So I have a few co-writes coming up with other authors that are not Sade, but only one has been announced, and that is a taboo reverse harem with Yolanda Olson. I am doing that, and it's releasing August. I have my board over here with all my dates, but that is
so
releasing
far
in
away.
August. So
That's so far away. I
I
saw the
know.
blurb for that book and I was like, I need it.
Look,
I
it's
saw it. I was
fun.
like, I
It's
need it.
already
I
been
will
fun.
rage until I get an arc.
I was really worried because if you've read a Yolanda Olson book, you know what she's good at. You know what she was good at. I wanted to dabble in that, you know, and just kind of see. So when I went to her and she was like, yeah, I was like, yes. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's already been super fun. She's very laid back. She's really easygoing, and I love that. And her and I get along really great. So I'm already having a ball. I am a little nervous to see how people, you know, kind of receive the book and stuff. But all in all, I think it's going to be great. I am super stoked, and maybe there will be more in the future. We'll see.
Ooh. And how taboo? How taboo are we? Are we like eating books taboo? Or are
Yes.
we like, oh,
Yes.
okay, now I'm really interested. Why does it like
1000%.
logic? I feel like that logic, like once you get like into the dark romance world and you just read darker and darker, as soon as someone says like, "Oh, the book has been banned on Amazon," you're like, "What is this book? Who's the title? Who's
Right.
the author? Where can I buy it?" Just
Uh-huh.
for research purposes.
Right.
Your Kindle,
Right.
you read it on
It's
the DL.
it seems too like so many people who do read dark romance, it's like when they start reading it, they're kind of like on the fence, like, do I like this? Why do I
Why do
like
I like
this?
this?
You know, things like that. But it's like the more they read, the more they want, and they just want to keep going darker and darker and darker and darker. And then they're the people who are like, hey, I'm looking for a book with this, and this, and normal people would be horrified, and they're like, I have no triggers. Thanks. And it's like, what? I love seeing the people who read dark romance too. Like sometimes you just never expect it. And you just like, I don't know. It's so fascinating to me. I love knowing what people read. It's so fun. So fun.
But could you give us a tease, like trope wise, what the two books that you haven't announced yet, those two co-writes, what would they kind of be? Would they be reverse harem, like
So
mafia?
the ones for this year, um, the two for this year that have not been announced, it's actually a duet. So it's with the same, author, both
Mhm.
of them. Those are also taboo. Eden books taboo.
Dang.
And then next year, it isn't set in stone, but we've definitely talked about it. We have a tentative plan and things like that. That is going to be a female female. So,
Yes.
yeah. It's
I'm
with
so
an
excited.
author. She hasn't done it yet, and I don't know. We connected, we've talked, and she was talking about how she's always wanted to, and me being me, I'm like, hey,
Let's do
I've
it.
done that. If you want to do it with me,
Yeah.
like that sounds so terrible.
No, no, I get what you're saying.
Anyway,
The problem is when you read too many romance, you read into lines that like are completely like sound normal. You're like, what?
yes, especially talking about like female romance. But I essentially did. I told her, I was like, I've done it before. Like, I am totally down to write with you. And she was like, that would honestly be really cool. And it was something we kind of talked about and stuff, but we didn't really agree on it.
Mhm.
But we saw a cover. We saw a cover.
And now you're
It
like,
was
it has to
perfect.
happen.
And she sent it to me and she was like, look at this. And I'm like, that is hot. I love that. We should get it and we should write it together. And she's like, yeah. And so now we're doing it. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm really excited. So,
Oh, that's
yes,
amazing.
lots of taboo ones this year. I say lots, three taboo
Three.
ones this year. And then a female next year, as far as co-writes go, on top of the Sacones. And as far as solo things, I have no idea what I'm doing next year, like by myself.
Okay.
I have no idea. I'm just going to let the characters guide me and go from there. We'll see.
Hey, but you're gonna be busy nonetheless. Like that is
Yeah.
still a lot.
Yes.
And I expect all these books to come on my ARC on my Kindle so I can read them
You know
immediately.
it. You
Because
know it.
I will be angry. I'll be like, sorry, I didn't get an ARC, so of course I didn't read it.
You're honestly one of the first people I always go to. And I don't even ask anymore. I'm just like, what's your Kindle email?
I know.
I need to write it down. So I
Because
don't
you
even
know
have
I'm
to
gonna
ask
read
that
you know I'm
anymore. I'll
gonna
just
read
start
it
sending it
anyways.
and come and be like, hey, check your Kindle. It's there.
Like you know I'm gonna read it anyways. Like so I'm like it's not even it's like if I see it I'm like, oh okay. I'm gonna rearrange my TBR so I can get to so I can start this as soon as possible. Like when will I not read a BLM book? Like I don't even know who I would be at that point. I have a really tough question for you, and it's gonna be my final question. what is I will give you top 5 favorite reads that you recommend to my viewers to go check out.
A Love Letter to Whiskey
I knew you
by
were going to say
Candy
that one.
Steiner. That is 100% one of my favorites. Dirty Calls by Sade Renee. I know that sounds crazy because she's my co-author, but I'm telling you, that is one of my favorite books. I love it. It's so good. This is hard. Okay, I'm going to go back to Amy A. Bartle, and I'm going to say the Cricket series because I love it. If you loved the Vampire Diaries and the push and pull between good guy, bad guy, you'll love the Cricket series. Like, so good. So good. Oh man. Okay, let's see what else. One that isn't out yet, but it's releasing soon is The Star by Rosie Alice. I got to read an arc of that, and I was pleasantly surprised with how much I loved that book. It's not dark. There are a few mentions of things, so definitely check the trigger warnings. But it's not dark. It is contemporary, steamy, and I'm talking top tier steam. So good. So yeah, The Star by Rosie Alice, and let's see, one more. The Devil Duet by Ashley Jade. Yeah.
Okay.
She's another one of my top authors. I love her. Damian King can get it. Okay. I love him. Read it. It's so good.
I haven't read Ashley Jade. I own a ton of her books, but I haven't read her.
So A. Jade, books under her A. Jade name are new adult, and under Ashley Jade, they're older. I recommend starting with The Devil, though, and then moving to The Devil's Advocate, and then The Royal Hearts Academy. Like, the way she writes is just phenomenal. I love her. And The Devil is dark, and all the twists and turns, like, I love it so much. So much.
Thank you again, BL Mew, for coming on my channel. It's been so much fun talking to you. I've been fanboying on your books for like a year now. Like, I absolutely adore you. I adore your books. And I hope you guys, if you haven't read her books, to go pick up her books. I'll leave all her social media links down below, so definitely go give her a follow on all her different platforms. All of her books are on KU too, so definitely go and get your binge on. I highly suggest, if you want, like, I highly suggest going for the Blood Money Duet, because that's my no, it's not my absolute favorite. It's one of my favorites. That's how I started with your books. But if you want to start with the Saccone Brothers, you can do that too. There's no way you can go wrong. Or you can go with the novellas. You do you. Yeah. But thank you again, Biomi, for coming on my channel. And
thank you for having me.
No.
It's been fun. So fun.
Oh my goodness, this is so much fun. Like, you are always welcome back on my channel. Just send me a DM. Just like let me know. Just let me know.
I got
you. But thank you guys again so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys with a brand new video. Bye everyone.